Okay. Hello, everyone. It is October 21st, 2022. I am Dr. Garrett Smith, also known as the nutrition detective around these YouTube parts. And we have some fun stuff to go over today. If you guys are interested in finding out more about how you can work with me or join the Love Your Liver program, go down in the info box below. All the links are down there. Somebody wants to give me a mic check, maybe Will. Just let me know if the mic sounds pretty good, as I hope it does. I think I've got everything set up. We've got the video going, the new camera and all that fun stuff. So let me see. Mic's good. Awesome. Okay. Well, let's get into it then. So the topic, what I usually do is I go over. So for those of you guys, I often go over a testimonial here, but we've had Mo, who's my awesome assistant, helping to make a lot of testimonial videos. So for those of you who are wondering, does this crazy stuff this guy says that's like the opposite of everybody else out there, does it work? It's a fair question. It's the important question, right? It's the only question. Well, if you'd like to see real people who have had it work and are continuing to get better, there's a testimonial section on this channel. Go check them out. Real people, real results. This is what we're doing. We were all duped. We were all hoodwinked into thinking that Rockefeller-based nutrition was good for us, and it's wrong. And that's what we're going to go over today in the little bit of science bit that I go over at the start to show you how it's in the research, how you've been duped, how we've been duped. We were all duped. They're continually trying to do it to us with every new superfood and every new BS thing that comes out. So, first thing I want to go over. I talked in the title about the toxicity of things like turmeric and curcumin and cruciferous vegetables. You know, the vegetables that everybody thinks are so good for you, the supposedly anti-cancer vegetables, the crucifers, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, all that stuff. And then black pepper or piper nigrum, piperine, which a lot of people combine with turmeric to supposedly raise your blood levels of curcumin more. So I want to go over some of the research on this that shows how it actually slows your liver. Let me back up 1 second. This is a little complicated if you're not into the Love Your Liver program at members.nutritiondetective.com and you haven't watched a lot of my videos, you may not have heard me talk about real detox and how a very strange thing can happen where if you slow down detox, it can look like good things happen for a while until it all falls apart. Okay? Like you could block a pipe. If you had a leak in your house, right? The water is causing damage. Well, if you plugged up that pipe, does your leak problem go away for a while? Yeah, sure. What happens once the pressure builds behind that pipe? You're going to blow up the pipe. And then you're going to have more damage to fix. Do you understand? This is what most of nutrition is shutting down normal detox processes so the person feels better for a little while, so their labs look better. You know, why do they give Accutane, one of the most toxic drugs out there, to slow down the detox of poisons through your skin? That's what they're doing. And what happens once that pipe bursts again? People maybe get some benefits from Accutane for a while until it all comes back. And now their liver is damaged. And now they try Accutane again and it doesn't work as well. And they get more side effects. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Caffeine, you can drink caffeine and have a little more energy. But over time, what does it do to people? If you know anything about caffeine, over time, it makes people more tired. This is how you're sold short-term solutions that cause long-term problems. It's called the duration paradox. I'm going to be doing a very long and very well-referenced article on the connection between eggs and choline and how they are a duration paradox thing, how they are slowing your detox, storing more vitamin A in your liver, and will cause more disease over time. This has been a little topic in the vitamin A detox community, and it is a huge mistake that some people are making. And I didn't get into the details of it before, but now that it is making the rounds, I felt the need to do what I do. You guys see me here every week doing research live. Imagine what happens when I devote a couple hours to researching something. So anyway, let's get into it. So turmeric. Here, let me put this link in. Title of the paper, Toxicity Prediction of Compounds from Turmeric, Curcuma longa L. Okay? I've been over this paper before. Those of you who have watched all of these may remember this. Or maybe I went over it in the inner circle. I don't know. Anyway, in the present study, toxicity of 200 chemical compounds from turmeric were predicted. Includes bacterial mutagenicity, rodent carcinogenicity, and human hepatotoxicity. Okay. Mutagenicity. I'm just going to get the definition just so I say it exactly right for everyone here. The degree or measure of the ability to cause mutations. The property of being able to induce genetic mutation. So they're saying they're studying turmeric, which includes curcumin, for the ability to cause genetic mutations in bacteria, cancer in rats, and liver toxicity in humans. This is what they're studying. Here we go again, quoting. The study shows that out of 200 compounds, 184 compounds were predicted as toxigenic, toxic in nature. 136 compounds were mutagenic. 153 compounds are carcinogenic. And 64 compounds are hepatotoxic, liver toxic to humans. To cross-validate our results, we have chosen the popular curcumin and found that curcumin and its derivatives may cause dose-dependent hepatotoxicity. That's liver toxicity. The results of these studies indicate that in contrast to curcumin, few other compounds in turmeric which are... Wait, let me read this very carefully and slowly so you can appreciate it. Few other compounds in turmeric which are non-mutagenic, non-carcinogenic, non-hepatotoxic, and do not have any side effects. So when they say few others are non-mutagenic, non-carcinogenic, non-hepatotoxic, they're saying many other compounds in turmeric are mutagenic, are carcinogenic, are hepatotoxic, and have side effects. And what are they selling you on? They're telling you that it's all super healthy. What color's curcumin, turmeric? Yellow, orangish. What color's vitamin A? Yellowish, orangish. What color does nature love to mark bitter and toxic compounds with? Yellowish, orangish. What color is toxic bile for the most part? If it doesn't sit in if bile that sits in your gallbladder for a while kind of marinates, it becomes greenish. But fresh bile is yellow, yellowish, orangish. Weird that all these toxic things have the same color, is it not? So anyway, let's continue on turmeric. Here we have an article on LiverTox, which is the National Library of Medicine's, the National Institute of Health, clinical and research information on drug-induced liver injury. Drug-induced liver injury, why would turmeric and curcumin be on that page? That's weird. Isn't it like the wonder herb? Spice. So, while having a long history of safety, here I'm quoting from while having a long history of safety, turmeric products have recently been implicated in over a dozen instances of clinically apparent acute liver injury. That means they could actually say that turmeric ingestion caused acute liver injury. Do you know how bad you have to mess up your liver for modern medicine to be able to find out that they gave an acute liver injury, a short-term cholestatic toxic bile refluxing into the blood liver injury? Okay. Let me go down here and get one of the last lines. The hepatocellular, so that's liver cells, the hepatocellular pattern of injury and frequency of jaundice suggests that fatal instances might occur, particularly if the product is not discontinued properly. I'll go back up the article a little bit. Laboratory tests at onset typically show marked elevations in serum aminotransferase levels. That's ALT. That's a liver enzyme, often above 1,000 units per liter. I want people below 26 on that. Turmeric and curcumin can show marked elevations in serum liver enzyme levels above 1,000. While signs of hypersensitivity are not prominent, many patients develop autoantibodies, and the clinical syndrome and histological features can resemble autoimmune hepatitis. Are you serious? And what are they telling everybody you should do? Get more of this stuff. Eat brightly colored foods. Eat more turmeric. Let's take phosphatidylcholine, lecithin, and bind it to curcumin so we can get even more of this stuff in your liver. You know they're doing that? You know how your liver stores toxins in your liver? It loves to take lecithin, phosphatidylcholine, which is very high in eggs, by the way, and bind it to toxins like vitamin A and cholesterol even. Do you know your liver, you bind cholesterol to fatty acid esters with choline and store them in your liver? That's fatty liver. That's part of fatty liver. Your liver your liver doesn't love it. Your liver uses choline and phosphatidylcholine to store toxins in your liver. And they're binding turmeric, curcumin to lecithin. Silifos, you may have heard of it. They bind other things to phosphatidylcholine to try to jam them into your liver. Be very wary. And then let's just go into real quick. So does turmeric actually slow down detox? Is there evidence of this? Well, those of you who understand the cytochrome P450 enzymes, that is part of your liver's detoxification pathways. Let me get this paper. So what I'm telling you is some of these things that seem to look good short-term, long-term they are slowing detox and they will cause massive problems later. And this is why nobody can figure it out, because it's a slow problem. You block that pipe, sure, the leak stops. You don't notice problems until the pipe bursts. This is how systems work. This is how we work. This is how people are this is how I got confused about vitamin A's toxicity, is because vitamin A slows your detox. It slows your bile production. It sends the bile back into the blood. You slowly get worse. Slowly. But so slow you don't notice it if you're taking normal doses. So, bioactivity of curcumin on the cytochrome P450 enzymes of the steroidogenic pathway, the hormone pathways, Okay. When using 10 micrograms per milliliter of curcuminoids, both the 17-alpha hydroxylase as well as the 17,20 lyase activities of cytochrome 17A1 were reduced significantly. On the other hand, only a mild reduction in cytochrome 21A2 activity was observed. Furthermore, cytochrome 19A1 activity was also reduced up to 20% in control when using 1 to 100 micrograms per mil of curcuminoids in a dose-dependent manner. So the more curcuminoids they used, the slower the cytochrome went. These studies suggest that curcuminoids may cause inhibition of steroid metabolism, especially at higher dosages. inhibition of your ability to break down and detox your hormones, including estrogens. And so what do they say at the end here? So what are they going to try to do with this? What are they going to take something that slows down your liver, and what does modern medicine want to do with it? Let's get this last sentence. The molecular structure of curcuminoids could be modified to generate better lead compounds with inhibitory effects on cytochrome 17A1 and cytochrome 19A1 for potential drugs against prostate cancer and breast cancer. They're going to take a toxic natural compound that we just went over that slows down your liver enzymes, and they're going to try to make it more powerful to slow down your detox. And what they're doing is they're slowing down your bile production, and that is how they get an effect on cancer. And if you guys have ever noticed drugs used for cancer, they seem to make it get better or go away for a little while until later. What does it do? Oh, it explodes. It metastasizes everywhere. Oh, is that like the pipe analogy? So let me just go one more paper on slowing the cytochromes. Evaluation of liposomal, for all you liposomal people, that's where they coat these things in lecithin. Evaluation of liposomal curcumin cytochrome P450 metabolism. At a curcumin concentration of 58.3 micromoles, 10.5% and 22.5% inhibition of cytochrome P450 2C9 and cytochrome P450 2C8 activity, respectively, was observed. So, we now have evidence of it being toxic and slowing detox. So now let's get into cruciferous vegetables. So, cruciferous vegetables, we're talking broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, cabbage, horseradish, mustard seeds. And yes, I did say before on my live stream that I do still eat some mustard, but that's about the only crucifer I eat on a regular basis. I might have some cauliflower once in a while. Why do I pick cauliflower? Because it's white and it's the lowest vitamin A of all the crucifers. That's why. So, what's the title of this one? Genotoxic. Let's go over the definition of genotoxic first. Genotoxic means it damages your DNA. Oh, wow, this link doesn't even fit. Holy cow, that's a big link. Well, let's try. I'm going to put the title of it in. I'm going to put half the title of it in, and then I'll put in the other half. I can look it up. So if you guys are later and you want to look up the studies that I'm posting, I always tell you the title. You can just search in your search engine, just put the title in there. You could go to PubMed. You could just put the title in. PubMed.gov is the easy way to get there. Put the title in there, or you can click on the link. Okay. Genotoxic effects of crude juices from brassica vegetables, that's the crucifers, and juices and extracts from phytopharmaceutical preparations and spices of cruciferous plants' origin in bacterial and mammalian cells. Okay. So they had 8 brassica vegetables, 8 cruciferous vegetables. So let's go in here. Quote, in bacterial assays, all juices caused genotoxic, DNA toxic effects in the absence of metabolic activation. The ranking order being Brussels sprouts, greater than white cabbage, greater than cauliflower, greater than green cabbage, greater than kohlrabi, greater than broccoli, greater than turnip, greater than black radish. There's a lot of people out there who really don't like Brussels sprouts, and kids really don't like Brussels sprouts, do they? Kids are more in touch with their instinctual poison avoidance mechanisms, and so they reject Brussels sprouts outright most times. So, continuing, in experiments with mammalian cells, mammal cells, 6 juices induced structural chromosome aberrations. Brussels sprouts, white and green cabbage cause the strongest effect. With all juices, the genotoxic, the DNA toxic effects seen in mammalian cells were paralleled by a pronounced decrease in cell viability. The cells were not functioning. Viability means like the ability to live, okay? Well, let's just go into this because this will play into one of the next papers I have. Column fractionation experiments showed that 70 to 80% of the total genotoxic activity of the juices is found in the fraction which contains isothiocyanates. Remember that word, isothiocyanates, and other breakdown products of glucosinolates. Whereas phenolics, oh, you mean like polyphenols, and flavonoids, like quercetin, contributed to a lesser extent to the overall effects. I'm going to add in there the overall toxic effects. So they're saying phenolics like polyphenols and flavonoids, oh, like quercetin and hesperidin and all this other stuff, isothiocyanates, glucosinolates, isothiocyanates and glucosinolates. I want to say it right. Those are sulfur compounds. Let me help you here. Sulfur slows down your aldehyde dehydrogenase pathway. It is one of the most important detox pathways in your body. It is used to detox alcohol, which you make from every bit of carbs you eat. I'm not saying not to eat carbs, but every bit of carbs you eat, pretty much eventually some of it breaks down into alcohol. Fructose breaks down eventually into forms of alcohol in your system. It's used to detox vitamin A. Retinol. It's used to detox vitamin E. Tocopherol. It's used to detox all sorts of things. Sulfur slows that down. We'll get into that, the evidence of that in a second. Let's see. See if there's anything else in here. The present findings clearly indicate that cruciferous vegetables contain DNA-damaging constituents. Let me read that again for you. The present findings clearly indicate that cruciferous vegetables contain DNA-damaging constituents. These observations are in contrast to earlier findings, which emphasize the anti-mutagenic effects of vegetable juices, and also raise the question whether greatly increased consumption of brassica vegetables or their concentrated constituents as a means for cancer prevention is indeed recommendable. They're calling BS on the whole cruciferous vegetables are anti-cancer narrative that we were all sold. We have all been lied to. So you remember how they said isothiocyanates? Well, let's go into this. Phenethyl isothiocyanate, a new dietary liver aldehyde dehydrogenase inhibitor. That's the title of this paper. Do I need to even go into the paper? Well, let's do anyway. Phenethyl isothiocyanate is found in cabbages and other commonly ingested cruciferous vegetables. So let's find the part. Experiments using subcellular rat liver fractions revealed that both low and high Km ALDH forms, aldehyde dehydrogenase forms, were inhibited by low concentrations of phenethyl isothiocyanate. Importantly, the mitochondrial low Km aldehyde dehydrogenase activity, which is mainly responsible for detoxification of low aldehyde levels, was strongly inhibited. Thus, phenethyl isothiocyanate inhibits liver aldehyde dehydrogenase with a potency similar to that of disulfiram, suggesting that in susceptible individuals, ingestion of large amounts of cruciferous vegetables in combination with alcohol could give rise to antabuse-like symptoms. This property of phenethyl isothiocyanate must be taken into account in experimental alcohol research and in evaluating its proposed anti-carcinogenic actions on chemical procarcinogens that are activated into potentially carcinogenic aldehydes. What's one of the things we work on in this program? Aldehydes. Getting rid of aldehydes. We tried. Here's a mistake that some of you out there are going to make. You're going to think I'm going to try to speed up aldehyde dehydrogenase. Don't do that. You try to stop slowing it down. It'd be like if you're driving around in your car and let's say you have the emergency brake on, you can drive around in your car. It's not going to drive as well. It's going to drive slow. You're going to ruin your engine. So then you go and you try to put a turbocharger on your car. All that's going to do is burn out your engine even faster. You want to take the emergency brake off. Then you drive normally. You don't go and try to jack up your ALDH because a lot of the things that speed up your ALDH in the research are toxic. Why would your body speed up ALDH? Here's another duration paradox thing. Alcohol in young mice sped up ALDH. So people might be like, oh, I'm going to drink alcohol to speed up my ALDH. Well, alcohol in old mice slowed down ALDH. Oops. Toxins can speed up your detox enzymes in the beginning because your body's trying to get rid of them. Lots of mistakes are made here because people still look at short-term studies. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Let me read this one part just to show you the evidence here. We observed that phenethyl isothiocyanate not only efficiently prevented the ethanol-induced elevation of cytochrome 2E1 apoprotein and mRNA, but also significantly elevated blood acetaldehyde levels. Ethanol, alcohol, breaks down into acetaldehyde. That's what gives you hangovers. That's what can kill people from alcohol poisoning. Okay? They're saying that people eating cruciferous vegetables slowed down cytochromes in your liver and increased acetaldehyde levels because it slowed down ALDH to the level of pharmaceutical disulfiram. But what do all the nutrition experts out there say because they're just repeating the same crap they heard from other people? Eat lots of cruciferous vegetables. It's good for your detox. Wrong. Why are so many people sick these days? Even the people who are trying to be healthy. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You go into Whole Foods or you go into the health food grocery stores, people in there look sick. And some people will say, well, that's because they're trying to get their health back. Maybe it's because they're eating the wrong damn things and they're making themselves sicker. How many of you people say the health nuts are the sickest people you know? I see it all the time. I get them before we fix them. If you're out there and you're willing to put in the work on your health, you damn sure better be given the right tools, right? If you're given the wrong tools and you're like a go-getter and you'll do whatever it takes, you'll eat. How many of us ate liver to try to get healthier? You ate kale, like the freaking garbage that is. Like eating all these nasty foods that taste nasty because your physiology tells you it's poison. And you kept eating it because you are driven to get your health back. Well, what if you were given the wrong tools? What if all of a sudden we give you the right tools? Then you can fix yourself. So let's go into pepper now. Piper nigrum, black pepper. I'm talking peppercorns, not spicy peppers. Those are bad enough. Nature tells you not to eat them. It made them spicy, for crying out loud. But black pepper is also kind of spicy. Let me just tell you one thing that is known when you crack open, pre-ground peppercorns that are pre-ground. The inside of peppercorns is moist. They start growing mold about as soon as you crack them open. This is known. So if you choose to eat black pepper, Do not use pre-ground stuff ever. It's just coated in mold. Use fresh ground stuff if you're going to use it. Do I use black pepper anymore? No. Do most people in the program use it? No. It slows down your liver. But if you're going to use it ever, like there's about one or two dishes when I make them I might want to use black pepper on. Probably mostly because of like nostalgia from when I was in college and I used to eat it that way. Do I use as much as I used to? I used to watch a guy. I had a roommate, good buddy of mine. He was also an alcoholic, but he would, you get the fresh ground pepper and just grind. And he would have, it would be coated. This guy's liver could take the most punishment of anything I've ever seen in my life. And he was punishing it. He was taking it to the limit. So let's go into pepper. Acute and subacute toxicity of piperine. So what piperine? This is the active component of pepper that they isolate, and then they often add to supplements to increase your absorption because they see the blood levels of stuff go up. That's not necessarily good. That means that you're not. So if you had toxic things like curcumin and other compounds from turmeric coming in, or crucifers coming in, and you eat some black pepper with it, and it raises your blood levels of these toxins. Whoops. Because you slowed down your liver, so it's not getting detoxed by the liver, and the toxic bile is going back into your blood, and you've just poisoned yourself. So let's go into this. Piperine. First line of this. Oh, I didn't put the link in there, I don't think. If I did, I'll put it in again. Piperine. The paper is acute and subacute toxicity of piperine in mice, rats, and hamsters. Wow. Acute and subacute toxicity of piperine in mice, rats, and hamsters. First line, piperine is acutely toxic to mice, rat, and hamsters. Let's see. Most animals given a lethal dose died of respiratory paralysis within 3 to 17 minutes. In subacute toxicity studies, the rats died within 1 to 3 days after treatment. Histopathologic changes included severe hemorrhagic necrosis, tissue dying and bleeding out, severe hemorrhagic necrosis, and edema in the gastrointestinal tract, urinary bladder, and adrenal glands. For those adrenal failure or adrenal fatigue people out there, if you still believe that that's a thing, it's your adrenals getting pounded by toxic bile. That's what your adrenal failure is. Death of these animals may be attributable to multiple dysfunctions in their organs. Piperine. Killing mice within 3 to 17 minutes. Or the other ones died within 1 to 3 days. But take your black pepper with your turmeric. Let's go into this. Toxicity and detoxification mechanism of black pepper and its major constituent in controlling Rhynchophosphorus ferrugineus. Well, if it says ferrugineus, boy, that's probably connected to iron. Let's see. So you remember how I said certain things that are toxic can increase detoxification enzymes because they're toxic. The body or the animal or the insect, the larva in this case, are trying to detox it. So in the present study, toxicity of different extracts of black pepper was evaluated by incorporating different doses of extracts into the artificial diet of red palm weevil larvae. All extracts showed dose-dependent insecticidal activity to the tested 8th instar red palm weevil larvae. Insecticidal, it kills insects. Well, you should go eat it. Kind of like vitamin D3 supplements are used as rat poison and mouse poison. And people will go, I won't take Coumadin or warfarin because it's rat poison. Right? Okay, cool. Good logic. I support that. Then they're like, my doctor told me to take vitamin D3. He didn't tell me it was rat or mouse poison, though. Well, maybe you should have. Okay. Among all the extracts, maximum larvicidal, killing the larva, activity was exhibited by chloroform, followed by dichloromethane. Those are bad things. Acetone and ethanol, alcohol, which you may be going to drink tonight. However, piperine, a major constituent of all black pepper extracts identified by GCMS in the present work, was found to be the most potent treatment, exhibiting the least LD50. That means it was the most toxic with the lowest lethal dose. Piperine was more toxic than chloroform, dichloromethane, acetone, and alcohol. So here, let me talk about how it can increase detox enzymes. Larvae that were fed diets incorporated with different black pepper extracts experienced increases in the expression of detoxification genes, glutathione S transferase and cytochrome P450. And this upregulation in detoxification genes, glutathione S transferase, cytochrome P450, and esterase, was tremendously high in larva-fed diets incorporated with piperine. Results suggested that piperine is a promising biopesticide agent for the control of R. ferrugineus olivier. Wow, the thing that was the most toxic sped up glutathione the most. Weird. There's probably no connection. Last paper on this. Mechanism-induced inhibition of human liver microsomal cytochrome P450 2D6 by alkamides of piper nigrum. "19 alkamides isolated from piper nigrum, that's black pepper, were tested for their mechanism-based inhibition on human liver microsomal dextromethorphan O demethylation activity, a prototype marker for cytochrome P450 2D6. All compounds increased their inhibitory activity with increasing pre-incubation time. Among them, 15 and 17 showed more than 50% decrease of the cytochrome 2D6 residual activity after 20 minutes of pre-incubation. That's all I'm going to go into that one. So, you don't want to slow down your liver, folks. Can things seem like they happen for good when you do that? Yes. This is why nutritional medicine is so effed up. Because people look at short-term studies and they don't understand how nature works. How does nature, let me just go into this. How does nature mark poisons? Aposematism. Look it up. APOS. Apos. I think it's EMATISM. I'm trying to spell in my head. APOSATE. Oh, Jimmy, I'm just going to type it in there. That's not sitting in my head. APOSEMATISM. Yes. I'm a little off from my spelling bee days, but I still can get it. I might just have to type it out. Okay. Aposematism is how nature marks poisons. It tells you. Would you, those of you who believe in God, would you not want God to mark poisons for us so we could know it? Why do we have senses if not to tell us what things are poison? How does nature mark poisons? Bright or strong colors. So that doesn't mean necessarily like all like light colors, but bright or strong colors. When you think of the nightshade plants, what do we tend to think of? red and green peppers, capsicum. We got eggplant, which is a strong color, a very, very dark purple, right? We've got red and green tomatoes. What do you got with vitamin A, carotenoid plant foods? You got yellows, you got oranges, you got reds. Dark green things like kale have tons of vitamin A and tons of other toxic things in them. The cruciferous vegetables are often very dark green. Nature marks poison things with bitter tastes. Herbs. Think of your herbal medicine. And nature marks things with strong scents. Strong scents are not there to attract you to them, you as a human. Strong scents, like your essential oil collection, is telling you that this is a plant toxin. The diet we do to fix livers is low smell, low color, and low bitterness. We avoid the poison signals that nature has given you. God, nature, it's all there for you to use. Okay, can things smell a bit? Sure. Like an apple, if you cut it and you get real close to an apple, you can smell it. But if the apple's cut and it's just sitting on the counter, you're not going to smell it, right? If you have a steak and you get real close to it, can you smell it? Yes. You set it on the counter, and you haven't cooked it, it doesn't smell, right? You don't smell it in the other room unless you're in a butcher shop. Okay, the foods that are good for you, they don't have strong smells. They do not have bitter tastes. And they are, and if you're talking about, people will be like, well, what about red meat? Well, that's on the inside of the animal. Nature wasn't marking it red, right? The outside of the animal is what you would be what you would see, right? So don't let them sell you toxic herbs and toxic vegetables as being good for you. You now have the tools to know which are the least toxic things. Now, on that note, if the part of a food you're going to eat, a plant food especially, that you're going to eat is white, off-white, or light green, you're probably pretty okay. If you need to peel off the colored part, the brightly or strongly colored part, other than nightshades, be careful of nightshades, tomatoes, potatoes, peppers, eggplant. Eggplant, you can peel it. It's still toxic as all get out. White potatoes, you can peel them, but if you eat too many of them over time, you're going to know why I tell people white potatoes are sneaky and they will eat away at your health over time if you eat too many of them. The nightshades are just not great long term. You can have them. I still have potatoes once every 2 weeks. Probably about that. Do I notice a huge change in the scale the next day? Yes. Yeah, I think they cause inflammation, of course. They're a nightshade. Can't get away from that. But anyway, if you can peel something, like imagine a cucumber. You can peel a cucumber and get the dark green off of it, and you're left with a white to off-white thing that you can eat. You're pretty all right in terms of the nature marking the poison for you. Okay, you've taken the poison signal off. Okay? So, but that's the primer on plants and how they are toxic. I'm not saying all plants. Don't box me into the all muscle meat carnivore group, because I'm not that. I don't think long-term that's a viable solution. I think short-term they can be a viable solution, but long-term it's not. Without any soluble fiber, you're not getting rid of bile. So you're not getting rid of your toxicity. You may lower the toxicity in your blood, but that's because a lot of it just got stored in your liver and stayed there. So anyway, so now to some questions. Sir Vancelot asks if, quote, remember, I didn't look if there was any, well, before I get into this, for those of you who are here, thank you for being here. And don't forget, if you want to X out of the chat, go and like the video, We got 12 likes. We got 44 people here. So, if you haven't done this yet, if you want to help this channel get to more people via the algorithm, what you can do to help is during this, go and make sure if you want to chat or comment, you got to subscribe. And then leave comments. If you're watching this later, leave a comment. Can be whatever, but that's how you're going to help the algo figure out that people want to watch this and they're trying to get others to watch it and that they're interacting with it. So we got to play with the AI. Okay. So anyway, so here we go. If Eat the Rainbow started with Sesame Street, have you looked into what might have fed into that? Well-intended or no, the desire seems to always come back to getting people off of beef. Strange, isn't it? Yeah, eating the rainbow in the US, people think that this eating brightly colored fruits and vegetables, have people been eating them for a long time? Yes, but in terms of people trying to eat more of them for their health, that is a totally new thing. 2005 Sesame Street was where it was really introduced in America. When you look at the foods in the Bible, there's really only 2 vegetables even mentioned. Onions and leeks. Most of the other things they mention are beans, legumes, but that people tend to think of as being vegetables. Well, it's beans or legumes, which aren't really vegetables. So there was not a lot of high vitamin A. That it's the idea of eating a lot of high vitamin A foods is totally new. And here I am fixing the disaster of it. There was a book, I think in the 70s, that was about eating the rainbow, but it didn't get much traction. Imagine if nobody's heard of it today, you have to search on Amazon for Eat the Rainbow and you'll find it. But I personally believe it's all part of the grand plan to have less people around. It's all a very well orchestrated plan. So even Mr. Gates has been he even made a plantain, which plantains are yellow, quite high in vitamin A, and he was hybridizing it, biofortifying it to have even more vitamin A after he made golden rice and after he made a banana, a non-sweet banana that made its own beta carotene, plant vitamin A, which would be natural beta carotene, folks. Get your carotenoids. Mr. Gates says so. But yeah, to get people off of beef, yes. To get them off of muscle meat in general. Let me see. I saw a super chat come up. Let me go get to that. So any of you who want to get a question answered, super chats will get that done. And I appreciate you, Ramon. Here we go. For someone who has several mercury fillings and is terrified of the dentist, what are ways to counter or minimize the constant toxicity? Thank you. You are welcome. Okay. Here's the key thing to know about this. Mercury fillings are... There's a video. Let me find the video. Let me find it. So if you ever want to look up mercury stuff, go to the IAOMT website, the International Association for Oral and Maxillofacial Toxicology. Why don't they put their video here? My goodness, this should not be. Let me find it. Here it is. The video is called Smoking Tooth Shows Danger of Mercury Fillings. Allison, you asked, where's the super chat? I've actually never done a super chat myself, so I don't know. Maybe you might want to Google how to do a super chat. And Amirhan, thank you very much for that super chat. Wow, I really appreciate that. If you okay, I'll look for your question in just a second, Amirhan. I will get to that. I definitely. Okay, so let me just finish this one. So let's see, the video. Smoking tooth shows danger of mercury fillings. They have I forget how old the filling is. So for those of you who were told by people on the internet or your well-meaning dentist who doesn't want to feel guilty for putting poison in your mouth, they want to be able to sleep at night. They don't want to think that it's like most doctors would never admit that their medications caused your lifelong health problems. Like how many doctors are going to admit that the birth control pills they're constantly putting women on ruined your health life until you found me? Birth control pills ruin women. They do. I have a video on that on this channel. But doctors who are prescribing this garbage, they want to be able to sleep at night. They do. Dentists who are putting freaking mercury in your mouth want to be able to sleep at night. So they have to tell themselves that it's not toxic. And they tell you BS lines like, once it's been in your mouth for 10 years, it's not off-gassing anymore. That is a crock. Go watch that video I put in the links in the chat, a YouTube link. They have like a 30-year-old amalgam filling that they took out of somebody's mouth, and they have it in a black light, and they rub it with a pencil eraser. Do you think things you chew are maybe a little more abrasive than a pencil eraser? You have some potato chips or some corn chips or whatever, cracker. He rubs it a little bit with an eraser, and you can see the amalgam smoking. That's mercury gas coming off. 30-year-old mercury filling. It doesn't stop off-gassing ever. This would be like somebody saying, oh, that mercury thermometer, mercury that's sitting on the floor there, that little blob, oh, it's been there for 30 years. It's not toxic anymore. Lies. Denial. So, I have a saying, which is the poison always wins. So if you are trying to constantly take things or undo the poisoning, like let's say somebody was taking zinc and selenium to try to detox the mercury, which is something that I use. And maybe they feel better when they first start taking zinc and selenium. And then over time, what happens is they start detoxing more and more mercury as they're getting it out until they start getting their symptoms again. Then they take more zinc and selenium and they feel better for a while. And then everything catches up and then they feel worse and then they take more. And then so what they can do is, so not only is the mercury toxicity still there and still going on, you're still absorbing it every day. But somebody doing the wrong thing because they never stopped intoxing, they might eventually get zinc toxicity and selenium toxicity, which are legit things. This is why the poison always wins. You can try to detox it. You can try to, displace it. You can try to push it out. But it's just going to be, so think of it. If you have 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years of mercury stored in your tissues, it's going to be coming out for a very, very long time if you don't do things right. And if you're continually putting it in, getting ahead of it is like, I don't think that can happen. I'm not trying to be negative here, but I can tell you, I have a client who I didn't realize she had so many mercury fillings. She knows who she is, and people around, who work with me know who she is. But she had 7 mercury fillings removed all at once. And I didn't realize she had so many. I would have told her to do it in pieces, like do maybe 2 or 3 at a time. And she had all 7 of them out. And she felt better for I forget how long it was, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. And then all of a sudden the mercury detox just she was in rough shape for a couple months. This detox is real. So once you remove the toxicity, another saying of mine, you need to stop intoxing before you start detoxing. You don't really start detoxing until you stop putting the poison in to a certain extent. It's just the nature of things. Your body doesn't want to, if you have mercury coming in and it's getting into your bloodstream. And your body starts trying to detox mercury out of your tissues. Where does that go? It goes into your bloodstream. So now you have mercury coming in to your blood from the outside and mercury that you're trying to detox coming into your bloodstream from the inside. Now, how much mercury do you have in your bloodstream? Just to throw out a number, twice as much? You think that's going to make you feel bad? Yes. You're going to feel awful. This is why people who try to chelate and detox while they're still eating fish, eating shellfish, they got their mercury fillings, they feel awful and they never get anywhere. I realize you may be, Ramon, you may be deathly afraid of the dentist. There are dentists who do these removals under anesthetic where you're out because of people being so nervous. The dentist may even, this might even be one of those times where the price that somebody might pay to take like let's say a pharmaceutical benzodiazepine to calm you down. Pharmaceutically, this might be worth, taking a benzo one time so you could be relaxed enough to not wig out on the dental chair so that you can get the mercury fillings out. Sometimes we pay one price to get benefit somewhere else. It might be worth it. When I had my one surgery in my life, I took one Valium because I didn't know, I'd never been in anything like that before. And they gave me the one Valium and I thought, you know what? And my ex-wife at the time said, you have no idea how you're going to react when you get in there. And you don't know if you're going to freak out or not. So maybe just the one time, take the one pill. And it was Valium. It's an old school benzo. Here's a tip. If you're ever going to use medications, use the old ones. Don't use the new ones. The new ones are the most toxic and there's the least feedback on them. Old medications are always preferred over new ones because they're still here. I'm not saying to take medications at all. I'm saying if you're gonna, make a better choice. So anyway, what I would suggest is you find an IAOMT dentist, or I think there's another one like SMART, SMART. You find a dentist who is very skilled in getting rid of them, who does it properly. Most normal dentists, when they take that mercury out, you will be exposed to a ton of mercury. The thing that will scare the crap out of you is when they're about to go in your mouth and take out these mercury fillings, and they've got ventilators, they've got masks on, they're protecting the hell out of themselves from the stuff they put in your mouth. The cognitive dissonance is mind-blowing that they're going to have to protect themselves so much from the garbage they put in your mouth. But it's not toxic. It's all done off-gassing. Give me a break. So, for something people might do to help with the mercury would be to do charcoal swishes, where you just swish with some charcoal in water for, you could keep a little glass on your desk while you work, have some charcoal in it, stir it up every once in a while, put some in your mouth, swish it, then go spit it out. For those of you who have, charcoal can be very constipating because of how it grabs onto bile, for better or worse. But if you tend to have constipation issues and you're worried about dental stuff, swishing with charcoal and spitting it out should be fine for you. So that would be one way. Getting zinc levels and selenium levels better through testing and consultation with me is one way that we could do it if you can't get them out. But I mean, think about it this way. You got them put in. If you got them put in, you can probably manage to get them out. So, but I would definitely, the things you could do about it, one would be the minerals that you need to protect yourself and that help detox it. That would be zinc and selenium. I would suggest testing in consultation with me because that's kind of what I do. We can bind it. If you're able to take charcoal internally, I said last week here on this live stream that I was going to put up charcoal articles in the Basic Love Your Liver program, my big 13 article series. I didn't get to it this week. I'm doing it today. It's on my list. I'm doing it right after this. So I promise. But yeah, I'm going to be adding stuff to that. The swishing is one way you could do it. If you can absorb it internally, if you poop once a day or less, don't mess with oral charcoal. It will constipate the hell out of you. Don't do that. You have been warned. But if you poop more than once a day, 2 times, 3 times a day on a regular basis, you could experiment with some oral charcoal. There will be an article on charcoal poultices, which is another way to get toxic stuff out of you by applying the charcoal to your skin. But you'd be constantly fighting a battle until you get the amalgams removed. That's the nature of the beast. If you were drinking arsenic in your water every day and you were saying, what can I do about the arsenic? I mean, it'd be the same thing. First, we'd be like, get a filter so you're not drinking arsenic. Let me put the amalgam fillings thing. Let me talk to you about how important I consider these toxins coming in. One of the very first articles on the Love Your Liver program specifically states that if you have mercury fillings in your mouth, the highest priority is for you to get rid of them. I even suggest that people go, if you have to choose financially between working with me or getting your mercury fillings out, get the fillings out. Then come work with me. Not everybody has all the money to do everything at once. And what am I telling people to do? Get the poison out of your mouth first. I'm even telling people, you don't have to spend your money with me first. Go spend it here so I'm not fighting against the fillings. Okay, so that's my take on that. That's my suggestion on that. Let me go find yours, Amirhan. Let me actually, Amirhan, what can you copy and paste just so I can find it quick? Can you copy and paste it down as a new comment just so I can find it? I just want to make sure I'm getting to the right question. I see the one, low vitamin A diet. Could bilirubin be the detoxing symptoms? Sire. Did you mean to call me sire? I'm wondering if that's a typo. I want to make sure I want to make sure I read this question right. Ramon said, thank you. You're welcome, Ramon. Happy to help. It's a very important thing. It's very, very important. Nurit did say on here that she was the one. The 7 mercury fillings was me. Ha. So glad I took them out. Much better now. Yes, Nurit went through a very rough period after taking those 7 fillings out. And so for those of you who have more than 2 fillings or more than 3, if you have 4 fillings, split them up into 2 or 3 in a session. Another tip, if you're going to get them out, if it were me, I would be taking, even if I was constipated. I'm not a constipated person, but even if I was a constipated person, I would be taking some charcoal before I went in to the dentist that day. And I would be taking some immediately after I was done with the dentist. I call it sandwiching. You sandwich toxins between, if you know you're going to expose yourself to toxins, you sandwich it with charcoal. Take some before, take some after. As an example, once in a while, maybe once a year, maybe twice a year at birthdays, I might end up going to sushi with somebody. Do I eat fish other than that? No, I don't touch fish or shellfish. It's so toxic. It's if you think the oceans are toxic, then fish just marinate in it and breathe it all day. All those medications, all that industrial toxicity, all the toxic metals, like it's in there. I just had a guy on a hair test. His mercury level was 1.2, which was almost 3 times off the chart. He was eating fish all the time. I got him to reduce his fish intake down to 3 or 4 times a week. And so from 1.2, we got him down to 0.45 in 6 months. Almost a 60% reduction in his mercury. Did I chelate him? Did I do any of that? No, he still even got a mercury filling out of his mouth. So so the people who do hair mineral analysis, who don't understand, mercury filling mercury does not show up on hair testing. It doesn't show up. It's a different type. It's metallic mercury. It's not the stuff that shows up on hair tests is mostly fish or shellfish mercury, organic mercury, methyl mercury. Okay. The stuff that you're worried about from, just metallic mercury from like fillings doesn't show up on a hair test. It doesn't. So if you think you get a hair test and you're like, well, my mercury's fine, I guess my 5 fillings aren't doing anything to me. Oh no, it's invisible to the hair test. It's completely invisible. So let me get to Amir Han's question. So, hi, since this summer diagnosed with Gilbert syndrome, but I use tretinoin cream and am suspecting vitamin A toxicity, so I am in a very low vitamin A diet, but my bilirubins are still high. Can high bilirubin be, and that was the end of that one, detoxing symptoms? Well, I mean, can it be, okay, so you took tretinoin, retin-A. In my world, by definition, you now have like a liver injury and you are vitamin A toxic. I mean, taking pharmaceutical retinoic acids is the quick guaranteed way to liver injury, liver damage, vitamin A toxicity. This is, but this is what I deal with every day. So I'm not saying you're any different than anybody else I deal with. Now, do we know that these things cause liver injury? Yes. Do we know that high bilirubin, which tends to get into jaundice, right? Gilbert's, you're getting bilirubin, too much of it in your blood. So do you have cholestasis, toxic bile leaking into your blood? Yeah, that's likely the source of the high bilirubin. I'm not saying, just so you people know, I'm not trying to get bilirubin to 0. That's not the goal. At least that has not been explored fully at this point. I'm not worrying about that. That's not something we're striving for at this point. So, can bilirubin be could bilirubin be going a little higher? Well, okay, so if you were improving on a low vitamin A diet and we saw your bilirubin going up a little bit, if it were me, would I be that concerned about it? As long as your symptoms overall were improving, if it were me, I would not be that concerned about it. Even still, I mean, the big thing I want people to know is the thing that is a reality of vitamin A detox is that you're going to use up, just like if you wanted to clean your house, right? We think of detoxing as cleaning your house. If you want to do spring cleaning, you need more cleaning materials. I'm going to say here that cleaning materials are minerals. Okay? Specific minerals. Zinc, selenium, molybdenum, magnesium, potassium, and for some people, they need to really look into their sodium. Those are the big minerals that I concern myself with. Everybody out there's going 72 trace minerals and I'm going, nope. We've narrowed it down to about 6. That's about it. 3 of those you can get in the Keystone Minerals. That's at the Nutrition Detective supplement store. That's a very good base dose. And just to tease it out there a bit, I did just put in a new order for a new supplement in my Nutrition Detective product line. So you can get all excited about that. No, I'm not going to say what it is. Okay. But if you need more cleaning materials and you don't get them, cleaning kind of stops, right? And if you need those minerals to run essential processes in your body and you're not getting them, so you need them both to detox and to protect you from the toxins and to run processes in your body, and you're doing the detox and your body's really trying to get rid of this garbage and you're running out of these very, very important minerals, you can get worse from that. You can. This is the reality, folks. This is why I say this is not a game. It really is not a game. Now, if you detox long enough and you suffered through it, could you get past it and maybe you're dying? I mean, here's the reality. Foods today don't have in them what we need. There's hardly any zinc in the even the red meat compared to what it used to be. There's hardly any, I see it on hair tests. There's hardly any selenium in Brazil nuts anymore. I've had to double the amount of Brazil nuts I suggest people take just for a basic dose of selenium if they want to do Brazil nuts. Molybdenum used to be in beans. I've watched in like 3 or 4 years the molybdenum disappear from beans. There's not enough minerals in the food today to even maintain normal. So the people who are like stuck on this, I'm just going to eat foods because that's the way nature designed me, and that's a great concept. The problem is the foods these days that you're probably getting don't have it in them. So now you're going to do detox, which uses more minerals. And you're going to be eating only food which doesn't have the minerals in it that it's supposed to. And then you may start supplementing willy-nilly, having no idea what you're doing. And you could create a problem doing that. You might not be taking enough, but you may also be taking too much. This is not a game. So if you decide to go out and do all this on your own, I wish you the best of luck. I'm here to help you with the hair testing and the blood testing and my experience so you can hopefully do it right the first time and not cause problems. I saw a guy cause himself zinc toxicity with 150 milligrams of zinc a day for an extended period of time, and he's still dealing with the fallout from that. He didn't know what to do. He had to take zinc for a certain period of time, and then he'd feel bad from that, and then he'd have to take copper for a period of time to undo the zinc toxicity, and then after a week of that, he'd feel bad, and then he'd go back to 150 milligrams of zinc for a while, and he was stuck in this rotation. I didn't know how to fix him at the time. This was probably 6 years ago. I did not know how to fix him at the time. Not that he was really very good at taking advice anyway, but you can mess yourself up with even essential. I mean, the whole idea, the poisons in the dose. Well, sometimes poisons are just poisons. Like, tell me the poisons in the dose with mercury. Well, any amount of mercury is toxic. Give me a break. There is no benefit to mercury. You don't need mercury to like activate any magical, energetic enzymes in your body. No, you don't. Vitamin A, not an essential nutrient, in my opinion, which means that it's probably just a poison. Zinc. Do you need zinc to live? Yes. Can you overdo zinc? Yes. Could you overdo selenium? Oh, wow. My computer just flashed on and off. All right. Are we still live? It says we're live. Anyway, so Amir said, also my calves become completely hairless, but since low vitamin A diet, there is a good amount of hair on my calves. Also, I have terrible gallbladder liver pains. My ALT was high last Friday, but it was okay the next day. Okay. One of the things that folks, you, Amir, can do for liver pains. I'm going to give you my charcoal poultice recipe, folks. This is different from most of what you'll find on the internet. You're going to get some activated, so here's what I would do if I was going to make an activated charcoal poultice. Let me rephrase that. Here's what I would do. Here's my recipe. Here's how I would apply it. I would take an equal amount of activated charcoal from hardwood or bamboo. I would not choose coconut charcoal if I could avoid it. I don't use coconut products in general. Some people the coconut water thing is okay, but I generally don't like coconut. Activated charcoal from hardwood or bamboo. 1 part of that to 1 part psyllium fiber. Finely ground is better. The finer the grind, the better. You would take equal parts, 1 to 1, mix them together into a powder mix. And then you would add some water to make it into a mask or a paste consistency. A poultice. You don't want it dripping everywhere. So you would stir it up, make it into a paste consistency. How much water does it take? I don't know. It depends on how much, it depends on the psyllium you get. It depends on the charcoal you get. It depends on all sorts of factors in there. So then you would apply that to the area you want to treat. If I had gallbladder pains or liver pains, I would put it over my liver area. If I had colitis issues, I might put it over my abdomen. If I had skin issues, I'd put it over the skin. How long does it stay on? Well, any amount of time that it's on would be helpful. I will tell you that once it has dried out, once the part that's against your skin has dried out, which would be the last part to dry out, once it has dried out, it's not doing anything anymore. You have to have the water in it for things to move back and forth. So once it's dry, the part against your skin, it's not doing anything anymore. And it's probably soaked up everything it's going to soak up. So, but if you had to take it off after 20 minutes or an hour or whatever, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Anytime it's on there is going to be helpful. The more time it's on there before it dries out, the more stuff it's going to be able to take out. Some people, to kind of keep it in place and to make less of a mess, I mean, first of all, put a towel under you so you don't, charcoal doesn't technically stain anything, but it can be really hard to get out if it's in a hard area to wash. So you can always get it out. If you're able to wash the area, it always comes out. Just know it can be a pain in the butt. So putting down some towels or something underneath where you're going to lay down or whatever would be a good idea. Some people will, and don't make it too juicy so it's leaking everywhere. And then you could wrap yourself in saran wrap if you wanted to keep it in one place. So like if you were going to put it on your abdomen or your liver and you wanted to be able to move around. Am I a huge fan of saran wrap? No, but if you need it to do this, I do think the benefit outweighs whatever negatives. So you wrap it in saran wrap so it stays on. You could wrap it on your arm if you have like eczema on your arm or keratosis and you want to treat that. You probably got to have somebody else to do that for you. That's one of the problems for people who live alone. So go out and make some good friends, folks, so they can wrap you in saran wrap. Obviously, just in case somebody out there, don't wrap your head in saran wrap. It's bad for your health. You tend to not be able to breathe. So don't do that. Somebody might do it, though. If you're still wearing masks, you got a long, long way to go. So let me find that other question. Emma asks, how does cannabis and CBD affect the liver? Love you, Doc. You rock. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Cannabis and CBD. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find the paper right now. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, well. Here's a quick paper. I'm not going to get into this paper too much because we're kind of already out of time. We're getting close. Cannabinoid metabolites as inhibitors of major hepatic cytochrome P450 enzymes with implications for cannabis-drug interactions. So cannabis slows down your liver. I don't know where it is right now, and I don't want to use up too much of the time here, but I do have a paper. It showed that I think it was CBD stored more vitamin A in the liver. That's not a good thing. There are studies now. I think CBD and marijuana, now that so many people are using so much of it, you're going to start seeing all the liver damage that it can do come out because it's storing more toxins in the liver, like vitamin A. I don't think there's some. I do not think that cannabis, CBD, THC fix anything. They don't fix anything. They're not addressing any cause. They're masking it by doing things like I talked about with the duration paradox and things that can reduce detox symptoms. They grab stuff out of the bloodstream and they put it into the liver. So it's not in your bloodstream affecting your brain. Like, let me do one quick connection here. So I just told you, I'm not going to find that study right now, but it did show that CBD stored more vitamin A in the liver. So let's just connect that to this paper. 3 independent lines of evidence suggest retinoids as causal to schizophrenia. 3 independent lines of evidence, 3 separate lines of evidence showing that vitamin A, forms of vitamin A, cause schizophrenia. Okay. So does cannabinoids does marijuana, CBD, THC, does that have any connection to schizophrenia and psychosis? Yes, absolutely. Here's a paper, a cannabinoid hypothesis of schizophrenia, pathways to psychosis. Let me just see if there's any good little bits in here. Where was it? High dose psychostimulants, amphetamines, psychedelic compounds, lysergic acid, diethylamide, LSD, mescaline, and dissociative anesthetics, ketamine, phencyclidine, PCP, have been shown to induce symptoms of psychosis similar to those observed in people with schizophrenia. However, frequent long-term use of cannabis has been associated with an increased risk of first episode psychotic disorders. And they go into schizophrenia in here quite a bit. Strange that I would find a paper that showed that cannabis, THC, CBD stored more vitamin A in the liver, and then we can find that cannabis compounds are connected with schizophrenia and psychosis. There's a reason for all of this, folks. These people microdosing, oh man, that's going to be bad news when that pipe bursts. So for someone, let's say if I were in the situation where I was using cannabis, CBD, THC to relieve some symptoms as a symptom changer, well, what would I suggest to me? I would start working with me on your minerals, doing the testing and consultation. I would start I would get into the Love Your Liver program so you can start learning all the other things to avoid. And then we get you better. So you start feeling better. So then you're able to start weaning off of the herbal medication. I don't yank away crutches from people who have a broken foot. That doesn't make sense. If you're using a crutch, and that's not a bad thing. People think that if I say you're using a crutch, that I'm like judging. No, it's the same thing as like if you break your ankle and you're in a cast and you need crutches to help you walk. You do that so you don't make the ankle worse by standing on it. There's a purpose. If you found a crutch to self-medicate your symptoms with, and you feel like you need it right now for your quality of life, I don't yank that away from people. what we do is we start getting people better so that, let's say, their pain level goes down or their insomnia goes away, and then they're able to start seeing, oh, I don't need this anymore. Oftentimes, you want to know the cool thing? As they get better, all of a sudden their intuition tells them to stop taking it because their internal poison recognizing systems say that is not good for you now. That ship sailed. You're getting better. Now you need to get off of it. It's really cool when it happens. Like it's like people who come to the program and they're using tons of herbs and spices on their food, and as they start doing it and they start feeling better, all of a sudden they don't want all the herbs and spices and they're just using mainly salt, and their taste for sugar goes down. And all these things, they start noticing that scents, they just don't like them anymore. It's not that they're getting like chemically sensitive, it's that they just don't like them. They go, I don't want things that are scented, because they're more in touch with what real poisons are. I used to, just so you know, I'm not biased against medical marijuana. I used to be a medical director of a dispensary here in Tucson. We were the only state in the country that required a medical director. And I was the medical director from this place from when medical marijuana was first legalized in Arizona. So am I familiar with the research with how to use it medically? Yes, I am. It's still a medication, folks. Just because something's a plant doesn't mean it's not effective in being a poison. We can slow down detox. Let me just go do this. Let me go look at cannabinoid bile PubMed. Distribution of free and conjugated cannabinoids in human bile samples. Gosh, why would the body be putting cannabinoids in bile unless it was trying to excrete something toxic? Let's see. These results show that biliary excretion is an important route of elimination for cannabinoid conjugates, and that their enterohepatic recirculation is a significant factor to consider when analyzing blood elimination profiles of cannabinoids. Furthermore, we suggest that the bile is the matrix of choice for the screening of phase 2 cannabinoid metabolites. You get rid of cannabinoids through the bile. Hold on, let me go look. Cannabinoid liver injury. Well, there's a LiverTox entry for cannabinoids. That's where they kind of accumulate a lot of the data on it. Like I said, if you're using it as a crutch, I'm not against that. The goal with anything, like I had a woman, I think she took a year or maybe 2 years to wean herself off of benzodiazepines, anti-anxiety meds. Lots of people out there will be like, you need to get off of it. You need to get off of it. You need to get off of it. It's terrible for you. It's terrible for you. And I'm going, and she's like, I can't even function if I don't take it. That is the true definition of a dependence. And that's not a judgment statement. That's saying that's chemical dependence. And she slowly, with some of my guidance, weaned herself off of it. And now she's off of it. And it's still rough to get off of these meds, but it was much smoother for her than just yanking her off of it and having all her bile start dumping, because that's what would have happened. So where was that LiverTox article? Did I post this one? Let's just go look. And then people will try to say, well, the synthetic cannabinoids and the natural ones are totally different. One is toxic and one is not toxic. No, if they're the same compound, they're the same toxicity. Don't make stuff up. The cause of serum aminotransferase elevations during cannabidiol therapy is not known, but may be due to production of a toxic intermediate in its metabolism. Cannabidiol is metabolized by the liver in large part by cytochrome 3A4 and is susceptible to drug interactions with agents that induce or inhibit cytochrome 3A4 in activity. Cannabidiol therapy is associated with serum ALT and AST elevations that generally arise within the first 2 months of treatment and are mild to moderate in severity. The frequency of elevations is dose related and more frequent with concurrent use of valproate and clobazam. Clobazam, I haven't even heard of that med. So, cannabidiol should be discontinued if there are ALT elevations accompanied by symptoms of jaundice, or if the levels rise and persist at more than 5 times the upper limit of normal. It's not innocent. It's not just like some herb that these. If a plant is strong enough to change your physiology, it's strong enough to damage your liver. That's just the way it is. That may be how it's changing your physiology. Okay? But like I said, if it's a crutch, the first thing we start doing, like let's say somebody was using CBD or THC for anxiety. Well, things they might learn how to use in the Love Your Liver program. They'd learn how to use topical magnesium. They'd learn how to, which helps a lot, can help certain people with anxiety. They'd learn how to use potassium, which can be very, very helpful with anxiety. Then we would get into, if they're working with me, especially on the testing and consultation, we get into looking at zinc levels. We get into looking at selenium levels. We get into looking at molybdenum levels. We get into, there's a hydration video. Y'all have no idea how simple hydration can be, but how everything on the internet about drink until your pee is clear is completely wrong. You know that if a veterinarian saw an animal pee clear, they would assume that that animal had a significant disease. It's true. You ever seen a horse pee clear? You ever seen a dog pee clear? Ask yourself this question: why did nature not give animals the instinct to drink? Even though you got a water bowl in front of that dog all day, why doesn't it drink enough water to pee clear if that's healthy? Shouldn't the dog instinctually know to drink so much water that it pees clear? Why don't dogs carry around water bottles all day? Same with horses. Why do they pee such dark pee all the time, right? It smells and it's quite yellow. I'm not saying that your goal is to have really dark yellow smelly pee, because I don't think that's it. Here's a crazy concept. We don't want dark and smelly pee. We don't want clear or really, really light yellow pee. Imagine somewhere in the middle. Isn't that what we do here? We're usually like somewhere in the middle is the answer, except for poisons. Avoid poisons. So anyway, just checking for any more. Okay, so Amirhan said, so I need to take minerals so my liver cleans itself better, and I have to stay off vitamin A or minimize it. Yes. Any other helpful tips to help my liver detox better, except zinc? Well, remember, if you I do have basic guidelines on minerals, the ones that I like, in the Love Your Liver program. Like, if you want to know, for anybody out there who wants to know what I think about certain topics, that's in the Love Your Liver program. That's what we do there. If you were to go in the Love Your Liver program and you go in the search bar and you type in zinc, what will be at the top of the post, the top of the search, will be my post talking about it. So that's where you can find it. Selenium, molybdenum, magnesium, potassium. You got to make sure you're not detoxing too fast, because that will feel awful. You want to make sure you're avoiding certain other foods that are not, it's not just vitamin A that we consider. Like the gentleman who had mercury 3 times off the hair test chart because he was eating fish, like, I don't know, twice a day, every day. If you think that there's any fish or shellfish that doesn't have mercury in it, I'm sorry, you are mistaken. I can show you hair test after hair test after hair test after hair test. There is no fish or shellfish that is not full of mercury. All you're really thinking about is, if you're going to eat fish and shellfish, what has less mercury in it? You're picking the best of the worst. Like I said, what do I do if I do eat fish or shellfish? I charcoal sandwich it. I take charcoal before it. I take charcoal after it. And you know what? The symptoms of mercury I used to get from eating sushi, which was me lying in bed, getting palpitations and not being able to fall asleep until midnight. If I do the charcoal sandwich before it and after it, I don't get any of those symptoms. Gosh, what did I just mitigate? I just soaked up all the poison in that fish. This is real. What we do here is real. It's systematic. It's mechanistic. We are absorbing bile and getting rid of the toxins. So I got to get to my inner circle. Let me just check. I think, Amir, I talk about basic doses of minerals in the Love Your Liver program. If you wanted to get into testing with me, then we get into that. Like as an example, here's an example. The guy with the mercury, okay, the really high mercury from fish and shellfish, and he had fillings removed. And while he was working with me in that 6 month, he actually had one more filling removed. So the guy had mercury fillings all through his mouth, and he had a fish habit. And just from the fish alone, his hair test mercury was off the charts. We didn't even get to see the amalgam stuff. Well, we brought him down by 2/3. But here's the funny, this is what I want you to understand what I'm talking about with detox can deplete your minerals. I gave him zinc. I gave him selenium. You want to know what happened to his hair levels of zinc and selenium in those 6 months? They went down slightly. So between the detox needs, when we started detoxing, he got off the mercury in the fish, he stopped intoxing, and he got all his fillings out. He stopped intoxing. He started detoxing. I gave him minerals based on what his first test said. My standard of care, when I first start working with somebody, I was doing my basic stuff. He still dropped. So even though he was eating more beef and more chicken than he was previously, which would have increased his zinc over fish, and I gave him zinc and I gave him selenium, his levels still went down slightly because the detox kicked in and he needed even more. How would he have known that if he didn't test? And just so you guys know, you don't need to be in Tucson, Arizona to test with me. I've had patients, our clients in 28 countries. Okay, we can work with people just about anywhere as long as you can get the mail. And as you know, I can do just hair tests. I don't like to do just hair mineral analysis on people because the bloods, the zinc and copper, especially in the blood, help a ton. If you're going to somebody who's diagnosing you or treating you for zinc deficiency and copper excess just on a hair test alone, they're mostly lost. They don't know what they're doing. They're probably following somebody, hair mineral analysis guy on the internet who is kind of Looney Tunes and doesn't know what he's doing and is super toxic himself. Says you need to eat vegetables 5 times a day. Well, that'll make you toxic. Anyway. Yeah, it's real. And so what did I do for this gentleman where we're still working on all this mercury, but his zinc went down slightly and his selenium went down slightly? What did I do? I bumped up his dose. Gave him some more to protect him. Now, this gentleman, so I want to give you another example of this. Super high mercury, history of fillings, lots of fish and shellfish eating. He had really high cholesterol and really high blood pressure. In the 6 months we were working together, we still didn't budge those symptoms. But when I got that last hair test, his mercury was still almost at the top of, almost at the very top of the range that they show, the little bar they show. It was almost off the charts. It wasn't off the charts technically. It was a little bit on the charts, but it was almost off the charts. And I go into the research like I do here, and I showed him that wait, oh no, he had hypertension and really high cholesterol. Well, it was very easy to go into the literature and show high cholesterol is linked to mercury, and so is high blood pressure. I don't think he had detoxed enough to break out of those patterns yet. It'd be just like if you're cleaning something, until you clean it enough, it's still dirty. Right? It's not, if you start cleaning it, it doesn't mean it's clean yet. You're in the process of it, and you have to clean it enough before you consider it clean and not dirty. Well, getting all this toxicity out of somebody, you got to get them to a certain point of clean before the symptoms go away. Do I consider it a failure that I didn't break this in 6 months? No, this man had the highest mercury level on a hair test I have ever come across. So is it going to take a while to get all that out? Yeah, sure, of course. Got him down 2/3 in 6 months. You guys, you may have, on a couple live streams back, I talked about the woman whose son I helped with just some zinc and selenium, and we're going, was it 2 or 3 times faster than the doctor expected for the kid's lead level to go down? You want to detox metals, toxic metals. We do it, if you want to call it, gently, and we make you healthier at the same time, instead of chelating and taking out good minerals with the bad ones, or using vitamin A toxic things like cilantro or chlorella or all these algae. Algae make more vitamin A than just about anything on this planet, just so you know. Don't eat algae. How do we keep algae out of swimming pools? We use oxidizers like chlorine. How does your body detox vitamin A and detox lots of toxins? Oxidation. Weird. Algae makes vitamin A. Your body detoxes vitamin A through oxidizers. You use oxidizers in your pool to keep out algae. It was actually when I first started taking care of an above ground pool that I started, the oxidation thing started to make sense to me. That was a big development in the vitamin A program when I started to figure out the oxidation thing. And then I started realizing that this antioxidant stuff was all BS. The antioxidant theory of disease. So we got eat the rainbow, the antioxidant theory of disease, the other side of the internet's all eat your liver and organ meats and eat your egg yolks. And I'm going, and eat your dairy. They're going to get you with vitamin A if you believe any of that. Here I am helping people get to the middle and find the diet that works best for them. That's always my goal. I'm not putting anybody on one diet. That's not how we do this. If you have one person who feels amazing eating beans and another person who feels like it's super bloaty and makes them fart and they just don't feel good on it, it's very simple. One of them eats the beans and one of them doesn't. It's not that there is one perfect diet for everyone. Okay, so let me just double check on any of the... I think we got to all the questions, all the super chats. So thank you for coming. I ran over again because I really enjoy doing this, and I hope you all enjoyed it. And I will see you all next week. Remember, nutritiondetective.com. Love Your Liver programs at members.nutritiondetective.com. You can find all the other links to find me down below, social media, all that stuff. I'm going to start hitting Twitter much harder, and then that'll feed into my other social media so you guys can find me all over the internet. I will talk to y'all later. Bye now.